Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Yes, we're a bit late. Yesterday, Lopetegui was announced as the new head coach of West Ham. We're here to get Charlie's thoughts and your thoughts in the live chat, so get interacting and see what you've all got to say in a few minutes. Before we get on to you lot, I want to get on to my co-host Charlie. Bevo, new head coach. What are you thinking?
You know, it's not my first choice, as we both spoke about quite a lot the other week. I think I've gone through the process now of convincing myself it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's a general vibe among the fan
Yeah.
base as well. And that's a good thing. It means people, like, you don't have to think that this is the best appointment, but it's I look at it as people showing support more than anything,
Right.
which is like, okay, I've had a little bit of a whinge, but he's the new head coach, almost said manager. He's the new head coach. I'm going to get behind him. You naturally start to warm to him. I think it's when you make player signings. I wasn't doing cartwheels about signing Ward-Prowse for 30 million, but once he was a West Ham player, you start to go, actually, this is what he's going to bring to the team, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and I think the head coach thing is the big differential.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that sort of makes it that's slightly more acceptable in a way, because I think what we need to do at West Ham, and it's something every football club needs to do, but I don't care about them. So it's something we need to do at West Ham, is we need to start thinking long term, and long term doesn't come from a single manager. And it's been this way for a long time. You can only think really with a manager 2 to 3 years, 3 years max, really. What we had with David Moyes lasting longer is an anomaly. Unless you're a Jurgen Klopp, a Pep Guardiola, a Mikel Arteta, long-term managers don't really tend to exist, especially at our level. Because at our level as a football club, you're either a manager who hangs around for a while, does fine, and then leaves. You're either a manager who does badly and then leaves, or you're a manager who does really well and then leaves to a bigger club, right? That's just the way it goes. So you can't really think about it long term. And so the idea of saying this guy's head coach, in my mind at least, and again, this is a bit of trying to get there, is that's thinking long term, because all of a sudden long term comes from Steidten, it comes from Noble, it comes from Sullivan, hopefully as little as possible for Sullivan, but you know what I mean. It comes from that group of people who can then run a through line through the club, so we have an identity and a vision going forward that doesn't just include Lopetegui. And I think with that's the thing that makes me excited about this more than anything, even more than the man himself, because I get it. Like, if football will be slightly better, we'll see some interesting things that I enjoy, a little bit less of certain other things I enjoy. But if that means that we're building actually going forward, then I'm happy.
Yeah, we're in similar wavelengths here, Charlie. I was away to say what you just said there, which is I'm more happy about how we've done the appointment and what the appointment is and what it means rather than who it is. And I still have reservations over whether he can, because listen, West Ham need to adapt to having a head coach. But it feels like we've got things in place for that, namely Tim Steidten. And I would suggest maybe a little bit of Mark Noble. I do feel like, given he's sort of trying to get West Ham into the modern era of football, I'd imagine he's on board with this. And Lopetegui name-dropped Baroness Brady in his interview as well. So clearly she's involved to some extent, although it might just be the handling of the contract, etc. But it feels like West Ham have got ready for having a head coach rather than a manager. To some extent, I think we got ready for it 12 months ago. And we've saw a little bit of fraction in issues over the last 12 months with Moyes and management, especially regarding player recruitment. So it feels like the club are ready for the move to the head coach. I just hope that Lopetegui is also ready for head coach and not manager, because of the previous instances. Now, I don't know what it was like at Porto or Sevilla. I will say that, right? But at Real Madrid, you don't get to be the manager. The president, they go out and get the big money signings because they have to do that from almost like a PR aspect of it. But he was only there 14 games. Now, he got sacked due to performance rather than falling out over transfers. But with Wolves, it's famous as to why he left. And it's not necessarily to say that it's because he didn't get the players he wanted. It's just that he wasn't backed. However, when I spoke to the Wolves fans, the one that was kinder about Lopetegui, and this is important context, not the one that clearly, it's not Dave that clearly just did not like Lopetegui full stop, but the other Dave, he was a bit softer on him. It was a bit more warming to him, saying about pre-season, it was looking good and stuff. It was him that said Lopetegui had to be involved in transfers and he had to have a a video call with them before they signed and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how if he can adapt to being head coach. But I thought, the title from West Ham he's been given, it's everywhere. In his interview with the club, the very first thing was, "Hey, welcome to West Ham, new head coach." It was like, you are the head coach. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. So I'm hopeful. I am hopeful. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the transfer window. I'm looking forward to next season. And the football, while it may not be, I don't think it'll be the style I was hoping for. I think it will be an improvement than what we've seen over the last couple of years. So, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, when it comes to style, it's one of those difficult things because I'm a very strong believer that you can please all of the people some of the time, or you can please some of the people all of the time. And I think probably with this one, we're going to get a lot of pleasing all of the people some of the time. Because there's going to be games where we're passing it around. It's going to be very Pellegrini in a way. We're going to be passing it around and we're going to be like, are we going to, is anything going to happen here? And it's going to happen and we're going to lose. And it's going to be frustrating. And it's one of those things where like every manager has his ups and his downs. And I think this is just one of those situations where Moyes' position was essentially untenable by this point. It sort of had to happen, and we've gone, this is someone that we can trust to sort of make things happen in the background while we can build forward. And that's the thing, when we did Hamletics yesterday on the Patreon, patreon.com/hamsterchat, there was a question that said something along the lines of, I can't remember who said it or what the question was, so I apologise in advance to the patron, but it was something along the lines of, I'm assuming there's a 4 to 5 year plan with this, and Lopetegui is part of it, sort of going forward. And I think assuming with West Ham there's a 4 to 5 year plan is always a dangerous thing. And realistically, we should be years into that plan. But when you look at the landscape of the Premier League, the money stuff that goes on now with the new financial rules and all this other sort of stuff, we have to start that plan now. And I have to kind of give them the faith that this is the beginning of the plan. Because if we try to start this 2-3 years down the line, then it's an absolute madness. If we had gone and we'd got Amorim as opposed to Lopetegui, for example, then it would be a very different scenario. It'd be a very different situation. We'd be sat here going, right, here we go. We've got the big man. We've got the guy who everyone wants. Let's go for it. We're going to be gunning for Europe. We're going to be doing this, that, the other. We're going to be pushing for another Europa Conference League or Europa League titles and all that sort of stuff. But with Lopetegui, I think it's that difference of going, right, we're at the beginning of this process. That means that in 5 years' time, we should be in a beautiful scenario and be able to deal with all of the current problems that happen in the background of football, like Aston Villa already have done. They started their process years ago, and look where they are now. They were able to reap those benefits, and we have to be doing that, because otherwise, Gio, what do you always say? If you're not moving forward in football, you're going backwards.
No such thing as standing still in football.
Exactly.
I think he's a safe pair of hands. I think my biggest concern really was how he was going to get on with Sullivan. It still is to some extent, but what he's saying in terms of working with Steidten gives me a little bit of hope that there's been Moyes and Steidten. I always felt there wasn't really much clarity given to either of them as to who had the final say. This Lopetegui is referring to Steidten enough to suggest that he's been told that this guy's now got the final say, and Lopetegui will have some input into the transfer recruitment, and I hope that's the case, because while I'm pro director of football model, I'm not pro director of football picks the players willy-nilly, and that is it. The manager has to have some input, as in, even if it's just to say, I need a left winger, ideally somebody that can do this, that, and the other. This is the type of profile I'm looking for. Go find him. Yeah. Something like that. And then the director of football goes and finds who he thinks is the best person to fit, but also in keeping with the club's strategy in terms of player recruitment. So it can't just be 100% manager, 100% Steidten. I think it needs to be, both need to have an input, plus the scouts, etc. But ultimately, I think the director of football should be the one that has the final say. He should be the one that collates all the information from the relevant people at the club, and he's the one that says, okay, this is the guy we're going to go for. And it's up to the head coach to then use that player and get the best out of him. Well, let's see what you're all saying in the live chat. Then I'm going to tell you how you can get hands on a match war and Mohamed Kudus shirt. Mick said, I'm ready to back the guy. Feeling very positive. Dan said he's feeling positive about Lopetegui, but has a feeling of Pellegrini. Red says it's a good time for clean slate. It's a fresh start and a new philosophy. Jamie says, if Lopetegui's been studying us for 6 months and Steidten's been sorting stuff out in the background, this should be the most prepared summer in Premier League years. Can't disagree with that one. Major says, hopefully Lopetegui knows how to get the best out of a striker, unlike Moyes, who destroyed Haller and Scamacca. Steve says, good morning, everyone. Exciting times ahead. Adrian says he doesn't mind if Lopetegui has a video call with a prospective player. It's whether he has any say off the back of it. He shouldn't, but could give a view to feedback to allow Steidten to decide finally. I agree 100% with what Adrian's just said there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind him sort of running rules and giving a. I don't mind him being in the process really, but it has to be. He just has to. He can't be the process.
Yeah, I say not the.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
An input, not the answer.
Yes. Yes.
Devil says, I hope he doesn't take too much crap from the board or the Wizard of Oz. Get in the club and raise some pulses. Lee said everything depends on the transfer window. If Steidten is left alone unhindered, I think it'll set us up well. But if Sullivan has got his stumpy little paws involved, it'll be the same old nonsense.
And this is the thing. I always have to temper all my expectations because he just will be involved. And I here's the thing. He shouldn't be. You talk about people who shouldn't be involved in the process. David Sullivan's involvement in the process should be, here's the budget.
Yeah.
And then here's you lot. Go make my football club do goods. Yeah. But I suspect he will be involved in some capacity. It's just about limiting that. And listen, maybe he doesn't. Maybe at the end of the window we hear that he's basically not done anything, and then I'll start to believe that is possible. But
Chris says he won't take any rubbish from the board. He would walk if Sullivan starts his usual nonsense. Guys had an improvement in the style and getting rid of some of the deadwood and be more enthusiastic about players. Guarino's liking the look of Bruno Fabrizio. Wayne says he's a step up from Moyes, no doubt, but is he enough of a step up for everybody? Probably not. But I'm excited now for the first time in a long time at what the transfer window can bring. Jonathan's concern is if we play triangles and build up play, we will struggle and end up mid-table. The Premier League is too fast in transition. Dean says the more he hears about him and reads about him, the more he's warmed to him. To be honest, I had absolutely no preference for who our new manager would be. We're ignoring all the Paqueta stuff for obvious reasons. I want to keep it about Lopetegui because if we start doing Paqueta, we're going to be here for another half hour discussing solely Lucas Paqueta. Now, while you're all here, let me get out this match-worn shirt that smells like it's match-worn as well. We've got 3 match-worn shirts here at Hammers Chat. We're going to be giving 2 away on Patreon over the summer. We've got an Alan Caswell one and a Jared Bowen one. They're both pretty special because one of them has a poppy on it and the other one Jared Bowen scored while wearing it. But this one we're auctioning off in order to raise funds for Hammers Chat. Now, we're going to be completely transparent. Sometimes these auctions are for charity or a good cause. We do charity stuff in the background. We just don't tell people about it because if you do charity stuff and brag about it, are you doing it for a good deed or are you doing it for PR? So we do our sort of thing in the background. We just don't tell people. This is not for charity. This is for Hammers Chat. We need to raise a bit of money. So we're auctioning off this match-worn Mohamed Kudus shirt. He wore it in Germany away to Bayer Leverkusen. And there is photos on Getty Images of him wearing this shirt against Leverkusen. And it's easy to prove that he wore it because of all the mud that is on it. It matches up with the shirt he's wearing and all the photos against Bayer Leverkusen. So this is up for auction. You can bid to win it. It's running until the 5th of June because the reason for that, it's the Tuesday. The reason for that is because I'm going back up to Scotland for a few days next week. So we need to run it until the following week. To bid, please email us hammerschat@gmail.com or hammerschatpatron@gmail.com. Either's fine. But in the subject, can you please put Kudus shirt or Kudus or something so it's very obvious and very clear to find. We'll collate all the bids and then come Sunday, Monday, before it ends, we will email everybody that has bid with what the highest bid is in order for people to get in touch and up their bid if they wish. But yes, 100% of proceeds will be coming to Hammers Chat to help us run Hammers Chat and essentially to survive, to keep going, because over the summer we make a loss. Hammers Chat runs at £-. We have our income, we have our outgoings. Our outgoings are greater than our income. So the Kudus shirt will hopefully help us out a little bit. So get involved. Yeah.
very distinct marks on that shirt. You can. It's one of those ones where with match worn shirts, you know, you've seen videos about it online. People trying to check their authenticity, blah blah blah. With that one, it's very easy. You just look at the match and you're like, oh my god, there's that mark, there's that mark, there's that mark. It's very easy to know.
I know where it's come from, so I know it's kosher.
Sure.
But me proving to someone watching this that it's genuine, I can't say, trust me. Just trust me. And there's no certificate of authentication because I don't believe in them. Because Charlie could just knock one up for us. It says, certificate of authentication. It's match worn because we said so. Who authenticates the certificate of authentication? Nobody. So to me, they mean nothing. So anyway, there's proof that he wore it, and hopefully that means that's proof that the Creswell one and Bowen ones are genuine. But the Creswell one you can't buy because it's got the poppy on the front. So
which is an easy way to do it, yeah.
Paqueta shirt, I mean, physically, yes, it's here. In terms of do I own it? Technically, however, someone has won it. The problem is there's 3 potential winners, so we need to draw an overall winner. So that's going away to a new home over the summer. Somebody will have a Paqueta shirt, whether they want to or not after the allegations. I don't know.
Oh, I can't. I don't stand for any of this booking lark. Gets too many yellow cards for me. Not here for it. Not here for it. What an insane moment! Yesterday was just a weird day, wasn't it?
It was wild, weren't it? Hey, here's your new head coach. And to be fair, it was quite a low key announcement and this is like, I know we feed into it, right? We do YouTube, so we feed into it. But because there's no surprise element, it's a bit like, you know, we knew.
Yeah.
Thanks. Is it really an announcement? I guess it is, but it's more like an introduction, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's changed now because it was like, wow, this is the new head coach. It's like, okay, let's have a listen to what he's got to say and let's have a little read about his appointment and stuff. Because I mean, we knew on Tuesday he was being announced on Thursday. We knew when the announcement was happening. It's not even like we knew the manager. We knew exactly when he was going to be announced as a new head coach. So the world has changed a little bit. So when it does come out, it's a bit like. Whereas the Paqueta one, complete surprise. Nobody called that one.
Yeah, no. We were literally in the process of doing another video.
But we were setting this one up.
We were going to go live yesterday. We're setting it up and making the thumbnail. And you just go, oh my God, he's being charged. And I'm like, okay, well, we've got to change course then. We can't be doing...
Ross Geller from Friends came out. Pivot! So we had to change tack. We had to move this one to this morning and go live with the Paqueta news. But that's the news that caught everyone by surprise. And in a weird way, I think I can't decide if it's a good thing or a bad thing for Lopetegui. I guess in terms of like, I don't know if he has much of an ego or that, but if he does, then it's a bad thing because the tension shifted just like that. But in terms of pressure. Sure. It's a good thing because now it's all on Lucas Paqueta. The club are no longer fielding questions today about Lopetegui and Tim Steidten and transfer window. It's all Paqueta. So actually, it just allows him to almost settle into the club without too much media spotlight on him, really. So I think it could actually be not a good thing because he's now got one of these players that could be a way to get a substantial ban if found guilty. But in terms of just settling into the club, it might just ease him in a little bit. But so there you go.
We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. But you're not wrong. I think it's always good when something takes away that thing instantaneously. You know, there's a reason why half of politics is planning when bad news comes out to distract you. You know what I mean? That's half of the whole ordeal. So in that sense, it's not like Lopetegui was bad news, to be fair. But you know what I mean.
Mark says he might not be first choice, but he will attract better players than David Moyes. Guina says Lopetegui announcement was intentionally made to tie in with the Paqueta announcement deflection. I'm not sure the club knew. I don't think the FA informed West Ham, in 2 days we're going to announce we're charging Paqueta. I'm not sure that that's a thing. I think it would have been quite...
And the thing is about the Lopetegui, that wasn't rushed. Like, we had the video, we had this, we had that. Also, we had 2 sets of photos of him signing contracts in 2 different places and 2 different sets of photos of him shaking Tim Steiden's hands in 2 different places. So clearly they had been prepped for a little while because they've done it twice. I was like, sat there, I was going through the gallery to find pictures for the thumbnail for yesterday's video. And I'm like, oh, there's the classic contract signing one. Do we use that one? Maybe. Click. Oh, there's him taking Tim Steiden's hand and click. hang on, he signed the what's this contract? What's he signing here now? What we got? What's going on here? Click. He's shaking his hand again. What's going on here? So clearly, it's been known for a little while at least. With the Paqueta thing, I don't know. I mean, he would have known. He would have known enough to. Paqueta would have known long enough to put his statement together, but that's about it. But maybe, to be fair, he could have put that together months ago, just in case it happened. I guess.
Perhaps the second contract he was signing, there was a new clause added, which is, we may remove Lucas Paqueta from your squad without your say. Please sign here to say that you accept these new conditions.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's the logic. There's one reason why it could have been. Maybe that's when they found out. Tim flew in on a private jet and was like, quickly, we need to get him to sign this new. Oh, there was a problem with the other contract, Julian. Yeah, no, I don't know. I spilt tea on it. Sorry, mate. Can we just sign it? Don't get the lawyer to look at it. Don't worry. Same thing.
Yeah. Anyway, a lot of comments about Paqueta. It's hard to ignore them. I understand why everyone wants to talk about it, to be honest with you. It's still the big... It's mental, isn't it? We've announced a new head coach less than 24 hours ago, but it's not the big topic.
I know. I mean, to spin it. Do you think that it's good or bad for Lopetegui that this could happen? Like, obviously, if he gets banned for the rest of his career, it's bad for everyone involved, right? But realistically, do you think this is good or bad for Lopetegui? Do you think he would have preferred to potentially keep him past this window? Or do you think he would have preferred the money that we were probably going to get from Manchester City to reinvest?
I'd imagine he'd be happier with the player. But, you know, the money, if you assume it was the 70 million, because that was the rumours last week, that it was going to be a 70 million transfer, it's not a bad amount of money to get, is it? I think what it does do, though, is it depends how long this is, because you'd imagine he's going to... plead not guilty, given what Paqueta's statement is. You can imagine he's going to have a not guilty plea. And this hearing could, you know, the FA could fast track it, but it could drag on for ages. And if so, that he's going to be here next season. I guess that's your question. The worst thing for West Ham would be as if the date for the hearing is set on like the 10th of September. So he's definitely here. We can't sell him, but he may be getting banned immediately after the transfer window closes. Like, that's the worst. That would be the worst thing for the club, I think. Whereas if it's done and dusted before this season starts, at least, listen, worst case scenario, gets a substantial ban. The club have got a bit of time to bring somebody in to get the squad ready. So yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it's coming to an end, though. I don't like how it's been rumbling on, but it could still rumble on for a while more if... Well, he will. Mm-hmm. He will plead not guilty, and this will go to, you know, an independent tribunal. Just whether they can find him guilty or not guilty. I think. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous by it, Charlie, because when you look at all the case studies, it's serious bans. Yeah. You know, the Stratford Town player got a 10-year ban, and that was for one booking. So. Yeah.
It's also worrying just because a charge has happened. If we were in the process before this, like when it first happened, I was like, Jesus Christ. But then we're like 6 months down the line, and I'm like, do you know what? Whatever. Like, I'm not that fast. I feel like the process could be done by now if there was a deepness to it. But the fact we've got to here, and now they're like, yeah, we're charging him. Potentially, like you say, it could have been like when I was watching a video yesterday. Potentially, it could be because, you know, his team were trying to push the FA to go quicker with it, because basically the Manchester City move or something there like it was on the horizon. So they're like, we need to get this done. We need to get this sorted. We've got to move forward with our lives. We can't be sitting around just waiting for you forever, sort of thing. And Manchester City clearly didn't want to move while these sort of charges were still hanging over his head. But the fact that they got told to crap or get off the pot, and they went, okay, no, we're going to crap then, makes me go, okay. There's at least enough evidence in their minds to get to that stage, because they're not going to waste their time otherwise. They're not going to waste time and money on these sort of things. It's a bit of a long one, especially when you look at what just happened with, like, I don't know, like Ivan Toney and how long he got banned for example, and that was just, correct me if I'm wrong, he wasn't even betting on his own games, was he not? He was just betting in general.
I think he bet on a couple of Brentford games that he wasn't involved in. Sure. But I think they were for Brentford to win. So it's one of them. It's like, is it really a bad thing if he's betting on his own team to win? I find it hard to sort of make an argument. I mean, I think it'd be easier to make an argument it's a good thing that he's betting on his own team to win, because then that means he's going to try and win the game. And that increases the integrity of the match when he's trying to win the game.
It decreases the integrity of every other match, but this one specifically, he's going to be giving it his all.
I think I know I didn't want to talk about Paqueta, but it's hard not to. We've done it. We'll do a couple of minutes on it, and we'll finish up with Lopetegui. So if you've got any thoughts on Lopetegui and you're watching live, get them into live chat. We'll finish up the show with it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Whereas Carl's saying, how can FA charge him without producing any evidence? But as James said, it's a balance of probabilities. It's not criminal law, and that's why he's been charged by the FA and he's not been arrested, because if there was evidence that he's fraud, he could be arrested. There's examples of Pakistani cricketers who did similar things and they went to prison, but there was hard evidence to charge them that they broke the law. Whereas this, there perhaps isn't any hard evidence. It comes down to probability. And like I said, I did a video with Gonzo last night, and this is what we know. The FA has charged him for 4 yellow cards. Go look at the footage yourself on these bookings. Just go have a little look at them. But the Bournemouth one's very late on. He sort of clatters someone with his elbow. He gives the free kick. No yellow card. So he starts marching to the referee, shouting and shouting and shouting, gets a yellow card and goes, okay, and off he goes. And the footage doesn't look great. The Aston Villa one, Douglas Luiz plays the ball about 2 seconds later, which is a long time. He just clatters into the side of him. The footage doesn't look great, but there has been bookings since then that he's picked up for West Ham, which is stupid. That the last minute, who did we play at home recently? He completely snapped someone in two, and it could have been a red card, but he only got booked for it.
I remember the challenge. Who was it against?
I want to say Newcastle, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. I know the one you're talking about.
For some reason, I've got Sean Longstaff in my head that he snapped long. He just completely broke someone in half. But the thing is, he did. That's like the most obvious yellow card in the world, but that's not one of the ones being taken into consideration. So as James says, probability, and this is all these things had to have. If Paqueta's innocent, these things have happened without Paqueta knowing, which is people on Paqueta Island, where he came from, created accounts with Betway, but that doesn't really matter. They created accounts with a bookie, put substantial money on Paqueta and this other player getting booked in their games that weekend. They got booked. And then you look at the footage and say, well, were they intentional, etc., etc. But what's the chances of some those various people on Paqueta Island opening up accounts and putting money on Paqueta getting booked in these particular games, and he went and got booked? Is it likely to happen? No, not really. Okay, so it did happen, which means is that enough? Did he know about it? And I think, listen, there's a chance that I personally feel that he's maybe guilty, but there's no hard evidence to prove it. It's all circumstantial, which is these things happen, but we can't prove that he knew. He might not have got paid for it. Paqueta might not have got paid for this. Carlos Tevez has spoke about how his friends were criminals and murderers back from where he's from. There's a good chance that if Paqueta is guilty, he didn't actually receive any money for it. It was just benefiting certain people. There's some people in yesterday's video saying perhaps it's like organized crime back in Paqueta Island, almost forcing him to say you have to get booked because just for whatever reason, we don't know. It doesn't look pretty for him, I don't think. Especially when you watch the footage, it's not pleasant.
Yeah, and I guess the more you spoke about it, the more it makes sense in my mind that it would take a while, because if they're thinking, if the argument is he knew nothing about it, but they have evidence that, like you say, accounts were opened, big money was put on him getting a yellow card, then he goes on to get a yellow card, right? Then they're probably going to have to correlate that with every other time he's got yellow cards and the times that he hasn't got yellow cards and everything else, which probably makes it a much longer thing to look into than possible. But yeah, it's a bit of a... Yeah,
Kevin Trippier told one friend he was away to Atletico Madrid, and this one friend went into the bookies and put a large amount of money on him, 5-1 or something, and he did get... Kevin Trippier got banned, But Kieran Trippier didn't know his mate had done the bet. He just told his mate he was going to Atletico Madrid, and that was enough.
How it worked out?
Yeah, because his mate went, "Oh, thanks for that. I'm off to put money on it now," kind of thing. So his mate cashed in, but I don't think Kieran Trippier knew his mate was going to do it. I think it was just because he confirmed he was going to Atletico Madrid. It gave his friend insider trading, because you're not allowed to give anybody an advantage to dupe the financial market. So that's what Kieran Trippier did. So, I mean, there was James said a Twitter account at the Villa game question Paqueta being odds on despite only receiving 3 yellow cards prior to that. There was a game, the Bournemouth game, and I'm not kidding here because I've done like a bet builder, like 4 or 5 things to happen, and it was on Paddy Power, and one of the things was Paqueta to be booked, and it paid out, but like 2 or 3 days later, I got like a notification saying all your bets being like my bet moved back into like unsettled, and it was suspended. And I was like, what? It's like clearly what they took my winnings back. And I was like, it's clearly one. Like that happened, and that happened. Like you can't deny it. Like, why is it taking my money? Then a few days after it came out that it was like the Paqueta had been like allegations, but yeah, that was a bit. I didn't think anything of it at the time. So it was just an error at Paddy Power, but it was a bit strange that they just moved my bet into unsettled for a period. And like I said, it was suspended. They took my winnings back off me. Now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, bloody hell, checking I'm not from Paqueta Island or something. Was this guy in on it, eh? Do you know Paqueta? And I'm sat here in a video like, Paqueta signed shirts. Who wants? That game's one of the games in question. Brilliant. Cheers for that, Lucas.
Breezy said it up there. Like, it's one of those ones where, as well, when you look at the evidence, it's very easy to make judgments of it now, knowing stuff, whereas at the time you might not have thought of anything. Is that kind of scenario?
Like I said, the most obvious yellow card he's ever got is one at the end of the season just finished, where he absolutely chopped someone down on the halfway line.
What minute was it? Do you remember?
Very late on, like the 89. We were well beaten. At the London
there was
Stadium.
Fulham. We were losing 2-0. He got a yellow card in the 97th minute.
That's it.
There you go.
The game was done, and he absolutely crumpled someone in the middle of the pit. It should have been. It was close to being a red card, in my opinion. The ball got played, and he almost like scissor kicked somebody. I don't know. He didn't go to ground. He just kicked him as if it was the ball. He just booted him into midair. It was just a stupid thing to do, but he's done this plenty of times. He's done it plenty. The one thing I will say, Mark's saying about the betting company sponsoring shirt, I think this is different. It's not, Paqueta hasn't put any bets on. Ivan Toney is completely different. Ivan Toney essentially was addicted to gambling and wore a gambling sponsor, and he was betting, and he can't do that. Yeah. Paqueta hasn't been accused of placing any bets. He hasn't done anything in terms of betting. It's just whether he got bookings intentionally so others could win money at the bookies.
I mean, I think moving it back towards the manager with Paqueta really is that thing where, like, talk about fire in your first day of trying to improve your man management skills. Getting one for a while where he's not banned, which he won't be until he's found guilty, right? You can't ban him when he's not guilty. So while he's in this period of being charged, but doesn't exactly have like specific dates where he's going to be in court or whatever, however it's going to, or tribunals, like you say, the way it's going to work out, whatever. He's going to be playing for West Ham. He's going to be starting because he's Lucas Paqueta. He's better than the vast majority of our squad, and there's not much of that left to begin with. Getting him like motivated to play sounds like an absolute nightmare task, because like we've already seen the last couple of months he's been a bit wayward anyway, and then he turned up against City. Weird how that works. And I just feel like if I'm him, I would be so pissed off about getting charged. I'd be so demotivated because I was just about to get my big move to Manchester City, the thing I've wanted for a year. I almost got it last time and it was taken away from me. Now it's been taken away from me again. I've got this sword of Damocles hanging over my head. I mean, I would not want to be the guy who has to motivate him, because that sounds like an absolute nightmare for a task.
Yeah. In terms of James saying we'll have to send a replacement, I think on loan. I think we try and find a replacement on loan. To be honest with you, I know exactly who I want. James McAtee, who, funny enough, is at Man City. but maybe it could be.
So have you decided now? I remember you. That was the one who you managed to piss Howe off from Sheffield United. Was it Sheffield United Way? Is that his channel? I can't remember.
I'm not wrong. They got relegated.
To be fair, I don't think Howe was accusing you of being wrong either. To be fair,
I don't care. I said what I said. Listen, who doesn't think? Who doesn't? Right? Who doesn't look at players playing for teams lower down the league than them and think, "Oh, I'd like to sign him in the summer."
Sure. I don't think. To be fair, I don't think anyone does.
Are you telling me Sheffield United fans this season weren't looking at Championship clubs in the summer, going, "Oh, we'll have him and him and him," because you can. You're a Premier League club now. You can go cherry pick those players in the Premier League, just like West Ham could have been looking at Sheffield United and Burnley during the season, going, "Oh, we'll have any of them in the summer." Everybody does it, and you know what? You bloody should be doing it. Why would you not? It's common sense. Look at the sides that might get relegated or probably will get relegated. Are any of them good enough at Premier League level? And if they are, that is who we will perhaps go for. We did it with James Ward-Prowse, did it with Lucas Fabianski. Yeah. It happens.
True. Do you reckon? So you're into McAtee now? You've decided on that one.
I think. I wouldn't spend money on him. But I'd try and get him in on loan in case Paqueta gets banned. I think he'd be a good player to have. So Paqueta doesn't get banned and he's here. Great. McAtee is good enough to play, but also not substantial enough he has to play week in, week out. Do you know what I mean? I think he's the right level of player to go get. Somebody that's probably good enough for the Premier League, but doesn't have that experience yet to demand to play week in, week out. And so I think between him and Earthby, I think you'd have enough to sort of. I think, in a weird way, I think it would be an easy win for Lopetegui to come out and say, look, if he gets banned, I'm going to use George Earthy. I want to give players from the academy a chance, and this will be George Earthy's opportunity to step up into the first team. I think as a fan base, we'll all sit here and applaud it and say, good on you. That's what a fantastic attitude.
I think we'd applaud it. I wouldn't believe him.
Well, you would if the transfer window shut. We didn't sign anyone. You'd have to believe him.
If the transfer window shut, we haven't signed anyone, then I would have to believe him. Yeah, I agree. But I
think it's an easy win for Lopetegui.
Yeah, I'd almost be a bit concerned about it, but I agree. I'd be like, I don't know. I want to see him play. It's like the left back situation, right? I want us to go and sign another left back or keep Aaron Cresswell. Those are the two options. I want us to do that. But I also want to see Ollie Scholes play. But if he went, Ollie Scholes is going to be my number 2 left back, I'd be like, I don't know if we're ready for this. I want to see him play, but let's pick and choose the games. Let's not just put him in there and then Emerson gets injured and then we've got someone who has no Premier League experience being the guy all of a sudden. It's quite scary. Right,
we're going to wrap this up. We've got some comments about Lopetegui, which the video is meant to be about, but, sidetrack, as always. Daniel said, I'm so excited. We finally have a professional team in place fit for the modern game and a manager who's willing to make substitutions early. We've never been this prepared so early. Hal says, I feel very positive about the future with a new structure. Let's not forget, we're not changing a manager for a manager. We're changing to a head coach and Tim Steidten. Michael says, I get the feeling that Lopetegui wants to be here for the right reasons and that Tim has gained more power. Both good things in my book. I agree with that comment.
Yeah, I do as well.
Mark says, J Lo talks a good game and his interview with the club looks promising. Looking forward to next season. And Baza said, I think we've got a great head coach. He's got good experience. A rebuild is needed, so we have to be patient. But I see a bright future. Mr. Amber said, really excited at the future. We have good young players who need a chance, so hopefully Lopetegui can get the best out of him. So there you go. Adrian, we haven't mentioned 5 new coaches, and I'll tell you why. Because nobody knows about it. We all know who they are. We can read it, right? But I ain't believing anybody that comes on here and says, I'm very clued up on all the coaches. I'm going to tell you everything about them. I ain't believing anyone.
Let's be real. There's only one coach we all care about. That's Xavi Valero. And he's sticking around. Let's absolutely go. He is the through line. He's the long-term plan. Xavi Valero, our goalkeeping situation will always be sorted. Because he will be here forever.
Do you want to know why he's still here?
Go on.
I heard he's a bit of a keeper.
Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. You come here for Julen Lopetegui, stay for Lucas Paqueta, and then you get a bit of fun at the end. What more could you want? Subscribe, like the video.
Shall we wrap it up? I've lowered the tone.
Yes, if you've enjoyed the video, do like the video. That would help us out massively. Subscribe, because just because it is the summer, as Gio was saying, doesn't mean we're stopping. We might carry on making videos, and it might be at a loss, but we don't stop. And, you know, if there's any updates on Paqueta, next new signings, all that stuff, it will be here. But apart from that, appreciate you all, and we will see you next time. Cheers, everyone. Bye.